ABC 10 News at 5 starts right now.
Major cleanup is underway after heavy rain and gusty winds tore through San Diego County, the critical work being done ahead of the next storm. And because of the bad weather, the Petco Park Superstation was forced to close for a second day in a row. What that means for thousands who missed out on their vaccine appointments. Plus, a woman who became known as the dancing nurse is back on the job. How she's spreading joy among patients and staff after her recovery from COVID-19 in a story that is positively San Diego.
ABC 10 News at 5 starts now.
California is reshuffling vaccine eligibility guidelines as millions of people across the state wait for their turn to get the shot. Good evening. I'm Kimberly Hunt.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. Once certain essential workers are vaccinated, the priority will be based on age rather than occupation. Here's ABC 10 News reporter Rachel Bianco.
New COVID-19 vaccine sites are popping up across San Diego County. More people are learning where to get the shot, but the question of when is still unclear.
Californians were understandably confused by mixed messages, variability of eligibility across the state.
State health leaders say moving to an age-based system will simplify things.
Certainly at this moment of scarcity, our focus is to ensure that we have that balance between risk and exposure.
Healthcare workers and long-term care residents are still the priority. The next group includes education and childcare, emergency services, food and agriculture, and people 65 and older. Under the initial plan, transportation and logistics, industrial, manufacturing, and other sectors and settings considered high risk would follow. Instead, age would take priority, but details were not announced Tuesday.
I do think that younger individuals who are in professions or in situations where they aren't nearly as exposed as some of the other high exposure industries will end up waiting a little longer.
Monday, Supervisor Nathan Fletcher said the county still has a long way to go.
We're still doing healthcare workers now. We're still working our way through 65 and older. There's still a considerable number of those. Then we have to do that first grouping of essential workers.
It's unclear how or if pre-existing conditions will factor into the new schedule. And of course, all of it is contingent upon vaccine supply. Rachel Bianco, ABC 10 News.
The Petco Park Vaccine Superstation is expected to reopen tomorrow. It's been closed for the last 2 days because of the wet and windy weather. ABC 10 News anchor Lindsay Pena explains what that means for the thousands of people who weren't able to get their vaccines.
Flying overhead, Sky 10 could see the damage caused by the wind at the Petco Park Vaccine Superstation Tuesday morning. The weather was why the location was closed Monday and will remain closed till at least Wednesday. Thousands of appointments were postponed, including Karen Garrison's.
I was actually really impressed that they got the first one out to everybody before noon, considering all that they were dealing with.
She's one of the local seniors who've been looking forward to getting their vaccine. UCSD Health says all appointments are being rescheduled. If you had one on Monday, it's been moved to Thursday. If you were supposed to go Tuesday, you'll now have a time on Saturday. Garrison says she's already confirmed her makeup appointment.
I think we're planning to go a little bit earlier, thinking that there's probably already people scheduled for Thursday, and it's going to be much more crowded.
UCSD health officials say anyone making an appointment at Petco is prompted to set up a MyChart patient portal account. It's how they keep track of information, notify people about issues, and schedule your second dose. If you're having trouble, you can get help from staff when you show up for your appointment at Petco, or call the support number. While Garrison says she hasn't had any technology issues, others have.
If they would give more telephone access for people that don't use an iPhone or an iPad or a computer, that might be a nice option.
Lindsay Pena, ABC 10 News.
UCSD Health says if you can't make your new appointment, you will have the option to choose another day that works for you. And the White House says it expects to deliver enough vaccine by this summer to get 300 million Americans fully vaccinated. Today, the Biden administration also announced it will give states a 17% boost in vaccine next week. It comes as many Americans are being turned away because of a lack of supply. And the White House press secretary says that's not the only problem.
Our concerns and our focus is not just on the supply. That's part of the issue. It is also about ensuring that states have the number of vaccinators they need.
According to the CDC website, the government plans to make about 10.1 million first and second doses available next week. That's up from 8.6 million this week. And you can keep up with any developments surrounding the pandemic by downloading the free mobile app. Just go to the App Store and search 10 News.
Turning out to our weather, the latest in a series of winter storms has moved out of San Diego County, but it left behind plenty of snow in our mountains and even some lower elevations. Our ABC 10 News reporter Jared Aarons joins us live from Sunset Highway, where crowds have spent the whole day playing in that snow. Jared.
Yeah, Steve, this is actually as far as you can get on the highway without having to put on chains. And you can see Highway Patrol is out here enforcing that rule. So a lot of people stopped right here to chain up. Others just stopped here to have some fun and play in the snow down here at the base of the mountain. Either way, it was a fun day in the flurries.
Snowplows worked all morning, breaking the ice that formed overnight, clearing the way for a wave of people excited to see the snow. Some, like the Burt family, decided the exit off the 8 was far enough.
We didn't realize we would need snow chains. And we're like, she was only going to play for 10, 15 minutes maybe, but it wasn't that far of a drive.
But up the hill at the Mount Laguna Lodge,
right here, young lady,
business is brisk. The lodge is sold out through next Tuesday.
It's been hectic. We're trying to get everything plowed and cleaned up. It's just been a challenge with this much snow and that much wind last night. The drifts are pretty high.
For day trippers, the Mount Laguna Recreation Area offered plenty of room for socially distanced sledding, all in the shadows of picturesque snow-covered pines.
There is no place like this area. 50 minutes from San Diego. Absolutely beautiful. And just the way it looks today is priceless.
For family, it's just moments you cannot capture on camera, like rare moments that you'll probably never see again.
A lot of fun for the people who came up here, but you don't have to come all the way out to the mountains to see some snow. Coming up at 6 p.m., we'll take a look at how the rest of the county got covered in snow and hail. Live in Mount Laguna, Jared Aarons, ABC 10 News.
Thank you, Jared. And from downed trees to blown away tents, cleanup is underway after yesterday's winter storm left behind a lot of damage. ABC 10 News reporter Jennifer Kastner is in North Park to show us the work being done now ahead of the next storm.
Here at Redford's Diner in North Park, the outdoor seating area is currently closed. That's because there used to be a tent up overhead. Because of the high winds, that tent got knocked over. You can see some of it over in the corner right there. And then there was other damage to the equipment on this patio. You can see that heater back there on that table that was knocked over in this. Tuesday, San Carlos homeowner David Tostado told ABC 10 News his backyard was left torn apart by the intense winds from the winter storm.
There was terrible winds last night, and we could hear it inside the house, and then we heard a huge noise outside, opened up the back patio door, and the canopy tent that covers our patio was completely just getting shredded by the wind.
At Redford's Diner in North Park Tuesday, crews spent the morning clearing out debris. Outdoor heaters crashed down and the tent knocked over. The owner said it'll set him back about $7,000.
Last night, the tent originally started here, and the wind carried it kind of over some of our equipment, I would say a good 40 feet.
Point Loma Sports Club General Manager Brian Welch showed us the mess outside his gym, but said that outdoor workout classes will not be interrupted.
The tent company should be back tomorrow. They'll replace all the poles and everything inside there, and then like a barn raising. They're going to relift the tent, and then once they've done that, we'll move everything back under covers.
Winds were howling overnight. Several trees toppled over, including a palm in South Park that landed on 3 parked cars. And in Kensington, workers cleared the road after a 40-foot palm crashed on a car. There were no reports of any injuries, just a lot of damage to deal with. And the owner of the diner spoke to ABC 10 News late this afternoon and said that tent should be back up by tomorrow afternoon. Reporting in North Park, Jennifer Kastner, ABC 10 News.
That winter storm is also creating dangerous conditions at our beaches. Today, we checked out those big waves at Wind and Sea Beach in La Jolla. Waves were between 5 and 8 feet with sets up to 10 feet. There are also dangerous rip currents right now. There is a high surf advisory until 6 o'clock tonight. You should always avoid going into the water for 3 days after a storm because of runoff, which of course makes that water unhealthy. That high surf is only part of the story in our weather department. Our meteorologist, Angelica Campos, is tracking it all tonight. Angelica.
Hi, Steve. That's right. High surf advisory remains in effect. As we look now live to Pacific Beach, you can see it is low tide. So a lot of people walking around enjoying the sand. Probably a better idea to just go for a walk instead of going in the water. And you heard why, because of all the bacteria added after rain and a storm. And the waves are still averaging between 6 and 8 feet. Our high surf advisory, it will last for another hour, but most likely there's going to be another high surf advisory as the next storm system moves into the area. Our latest storm now moving out of Colorado and making its way into the plains. The next storm system making its way south of the Bay Area, and it's going to be arriving on Thursday. Coming up, I'll show you how much rain is on the way and all that in your 7-day forecast.
We will be ready. Thank you, Angelica. Senators were sworn in today for the second impeachment of former President Donald Trump. The trial is set to start next month. But as ABC's Elizabeth Schulze reports, some Republicans say it shouldn't happen at all.
In the same chamber that was filled with rioters less than 3 weeks ago, senators sworn in as jurors.
Do you solemnly swear?
In former President Trump's second impeachment trial. Both sides now have 2 weeks to prepare their cases. The trial is set to start the week of February 8th. The former president faces a single charge of incitement of insurrection after urging his supporters to head to the Capitol in protest of the 2020 election results.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
The attack on the Capitol left 5 people dead, including police officer Brian Sicknick. Democrats insist Trump must be held accountable.
So it's absolutely critical that we call that out and make sure that future presidents understand that this is completely unacceptable behavior and will never be tolerated by the American people.
But a growing number of Republicans are questioning if it's constitutional to put a former president on trial, a first in American history. In a vote today, 45 Senate Republicans backed a measure put forward by Senator Rand Paul to dismiss the trial as unconstitutional. But Senator Paul's effort failed after it was blocked by the remaining 55 senators.
Democrats are wasting the nation's time on a partisan vendetta against a man no longer in office.
President Biden telling CNN he believes the trial has to happen, but he cast doubt there would be enough Republican support to find Trump guilty. 17 Republicans would need to join all Democrats in the Senate to vote to convict Trump.
It's vindictive. It's a waste of time. It's constitutionally sketchy.
While a conviction clearly wouldn't remove Trump from office, it could lead the way to a second vote in the Senate that would prohibit Trump from holding federal office in the future. Elizabeth Schulze, ABC News, Washington.
The senator overseeing the impeachment trial of former President Donald Trump is now in the hospital. Patrick Leahy presided over today's impeachment events, but wasn't feeling well when he got back to his office. A doctor checked him out and suggested going to the hospital as a precaution. A colleague says he's optimistic the Vermont senator will be back at the Capitol tomorrow.